Is it weird that the person I was most attracted to in Batman vs Superman was Holly Hunter?
No, she's an attractive older woman. Can I call her older?
I think
How old
she got to be pushing 60, right?
Oh,
Is that an insult? You should probably look that up. She's 58, so yeah, she's pushing 60. Right.
Yeah, Jessica Chastain. I mean, if you want a redhead, you pick her, or that other chick from the TV show on AMC.
Mad Men?
Yeah.
Christina Hendricks?
Yes.
Jugs McGee?
Yes.
I don't think she can really act. I just think she has giant knockers.
I think she's a better actress than Amy Adams.
The Fighter was good.
I hate her accent.
I didn't hate it. Few people do a good Boston accent.
I know.
Even Mark Wahlberg doesn't always do a good Boston accent.
I was just going to say, Matt Damon didn't do a great Boston accent.
No. After he lost it after.
Yeah, he had to.
Pretty much Good Will Hunting. Like, I can't.
Why, has he ever tried it? Well, he did try in The Departed, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah. All right, you ready to go?
Let's do this dance.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dominic DeMore, and thank you for tuning in to the second best thing you will hear all week. We have a great show for you this evening that includes top-notch film reviews, the latest movie news, and assorted thoughts and opinions, ranging from insightful to downright obnoxious. This is the I've Had Better Movies podcast. Let's kick it off. James, what do you have for the fans this week?
Hello, everyone. My name is James Langos, and welcome to the show. Each week, Dom and I will give you, the fans, a review of a film currently in theaters, or in the rare occurrence we can't afford to go to the movies that week. We will dig deep into our film libraries to break down an old great or just a random piece of garbage. This week's review is My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2.
A.K.A. The Call of Jimmy's People. We just watched WrestleMania, so that is filled with The Rock's family, and this is essentially Jimmy's family in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
It is. Good people. Good people.
Mm-hmm.
So, in honor of that, let's have you kick it off.
All right, I will start. I'm going to give two different perspectives here. One is a normal movie fan, and the second will be a Greek watching this movie. And as you probably guessed, if you're Greek, it's a lot better to watch.
Oh yeah, I assumed that walking in.
Yeah. The biggest problem I had with it was, as a regular moviegoer, they tried packing too much into the same movie.
Yeah, I completely agree.
There's one major plot, and then there's probably 10 subplots.
Yeah.
And there doesn't need to be 10. They could have done with 2, and it would have been just fine.
And as always with our movie reviews, there will be spoilers. We try to reduce as best we can, but every once in a while, like what I'm about to say, a key point comes out that you might not have expected. So if you haven't listened, wait till the image on your screen changes to away from the movie poster, and that's when you'll know you can come back and avoid spoilers.
Well played.
I thought so. I only came up with that 7 episodes in, but whatever.
It's a work in progress.
So, the spoiler that I was going to talk about, and one of the key subplots that I thought was completely ruined, was Joey Fatone's character in this film, who is a brother? Cousin of the main characters.
Cousin of Tula.
Yes, cousin of Tula, who is...
Nia Vardalos. I probably butchered that. It's just embarrassing.
Yeah, so Nia Vardalos, her cousin, is gay in the film. It's a cool subplot. Like, I really enjoyed the idea because this whole idea of the traditional family and how are they going to accept somebody who's gay, where in the first 2 movies, one of the main themes is, you should get married. You should go find a nice Greek girl.
And you have Greek babies.
Yes.
Can't have Greek babies if you're gay.
Not so much. So...
in the traditional sense.
Exactly. So that was an interesting point to bring up. And it really was... I liked it. Yeah. But it got about 4 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, they needed to...
It got no fleshing out.
Yep.
And it was just kind of thrown in. Like,
it needed to be developed more.
Yeah.
It's an interesting, important topic that I'm sure comes up.
Yeah. And I would have taken that 10 times over 10 if then the weird, hey, our marriage is having problems, but we figure it out by going on one date / sitting on the couch for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Between the main character and Sex and the City man, Ian.
Yeah. The other point of Joey Fatone being gay, which helps, but it's not just relatable to a Greek family. It's relatable to any culture.
Yeah.
So it definitely need to be played out more.
Yeah. Acting starts out sketchy. And it's one of those movies, they are trying to overact in a way because it is a comedy at its base and everything's dialed up to 10. But early on it was rough, especially the girl who plays the daughter. She felt very overacting in the beginning.
She did a lot better towards the end.
It toned down towards the end. Once they got into the meat of the story, it felt much, much better. Film-wise, I didn't particularly... Editing was okay. Not too jump cutty or anything like that. I thought there was a little bit too many of, like, montage moments.
Yeah.
Like, didn't need all of those. Like, when they're teaching the grandfather how to use the computer. I get it.
It lasted a little too long.
Yeah, and that plays into everybody, but at this point in time, it's cliched now because everybody knows, like, okay, there's computers are so integrated with everybody. Not only do a lot of older people know how to use them, but at the same time, that idea that, like, oh, my grandpa doesn't know how to use the computer, it's overplayed by this point.
Yeah. It lasted longer than it should have.
Yeah.
But going back to me being Greek, it fits perfectly because I absolutely remember trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean...
Trying to teach my grandpa how to use an iPad.
Yeah, no, I get that. Trust me. I remember taking my Game Boy over my grandfather's house like 15 years ago and he being like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
My grandpa, when he was a kid, fun was throwing rocks at somebody. Like...
Oh, I did that too.
Your sister doesn't count because she came back and hit you harder.
Also true. Tom Hanks being a producer, important.
Tom Hanks is a producer?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. His wife was in it.
Who's his wife?
She's Greek.
Doesn't help me. There's a lot of Greek people in this movie. Is it the hairdresser with the big tits?
No. I can't remember her name. Give me 1 second.
Like Rita Wilson or something?
Yeah, Rita Wilson.
I don't remember what Rita Wilson looks like off the top of my head.
She's married to John Stamos.
Oh, is that her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Let me ask you this, as somebody who's probably more familiar with the first film than I am, because it's been a while since I've seen it, and we've stated multiple times I'm whiter than Casper, so I am not Greek.
It's okay, we still love you.
I appreciate it. To all the fans. How much did this movie separate itself from the first film to where it's its own movie and it just didn't rely on jokes from the first one? Because there are callbacks, like I picked up on that and I know that, but I didn't think it did too bad of a job of being like, hey, you remember this from 15 years ago? We did it again.
Yeah. They didn't try and pull that many jokes from the first one, which was good. You always worry about that with comedies and sequels.
Yeah, the opening joke was awful. That was a straight callback where she gets in the car and the grandfather turns and says, you're looking so old, you need to get married. And then the 17-year-old girl pops out from behind the seat and is like, really? Nobody saw her there? Like, was she literally crouched behind? Like, that was a bad joke. I thought, like, straight from the start, I was like, oh, this didn't go well. Okay, let's go to our rating system.
Okay. Go ahead. You go first.
I will. I apologize to all of Jimmy's family and all the multiple Greeks who listen to this podcast.
Be careful. Tread carefully because you might not be loved anymore.
Seriously. A considerable part of our following is just Jimmy's family. So we may just drop in viewership significantly after this. But it's not a good movie. In the idea of Rotten Tomatoes, I don't think it deserves to be fresh on the scale, which is roughly a 6 or above. And there's too many issues to really forgive and just accept it as a good movie. Like, even if I was going in not as a critic or reviewer, I still think it probably wouldn't get around more than a 5.5 for me. But knowing what I have seen from other movies and comparing them, I can't go higher than a 4. So that's a 4 out of 10 apples on a scale of 1 to Good Will Hunting.
I get it, and I understand. I mean, I'm going to get scolded for this because mine's not any better, but I gave it a 5. for just a regular moviegoer. And if you're Greek, it's a 7 because everything is relatable.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, we all have movies like that. Like, there's a reason I love a lot more like gangster films or like Italian mob films. Because there's at least 2 or 3 people in there. It's like, hey, this is my grandfather.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's always cool. All right, now that we've finished our review for the week, tell us what you guys think. Send us an email to ihbpodcast@gmail.com, or you can contact either one of us on Twitter individually. We'll give those out at the end of the show, or shoot us a tweet to @IHBpodcast, or just, throw the hashtag IHB movies out there. I'm trying to get this hashtag started, people. Somebody give me a shout back. Okay, so on to the top news. In addition to reviews, we also like to give you guys the latest movie news from around the industry and some of the things that intrigue us, but at the same time, maybe you haven't heard this and it'll get you to go out to the theater to see some new movie. The past few weeks, the only thing the film industry has been able to talk about is Batman vs. Superman. And if you didn't like the film, you just gained a bit more ammunition. The box office numbers are out for this past week, and Batman vs. Superman has had a massive 69% drop-off to roughly $52 million, and that's adding up to a $260.9 million total domestically. Obviously, that much of a drop-off hurts. But on the other hand, the film is still raking in the dough globally to a $682.3 million total. Warner Brothers' domestic distribution chief, Jeff Goldstein, is not concerned, however, even saying the following: "We're not concerned with the drop. No matter how you slice it, to get $52 million on any given weekend is an enormous accomplishment. We're most focused on where we are in the total, and our global number is huge. James, given all we know about this film, do you believe that DC and Warner Brothers is not concerned with the dramatic drop-off domestically?"
No, they are definitely concerned. But as the domestic distribution chief, you can't go out in public saying that you're concerned about a film. It did still make $52 million, which is a large number, but the drop-off is huge.
Yeah, 60. Yeah, for the record, other superhero movies have seen this kind of drop. But the other superhero movies that have seen such a drop are X-Men Origins Wolverine. That dropped off over 70% of its opening week, actually. And it's happened with other movies, too. Like the final Harry Potter movie dropped 70% in its second week. So it happens.
I think it's probably just because the true fans really go and see it that first week. And they all do. And, it had a pretty big number for opening.
Yeah, so, largest March opening ever. Largest global opening ever. Because it did over $420 million.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
Now being up over $680 million. I think they're okay, and they're not worried as long as they get to the billion. If they don't hit $1 billion with this movie, I think DC might go into panic mode. But at the same time, this movie has already outgrossed Man of Steel, which is the Superman movie from a few years ago. So
I think just having Batman attached to any film, you're likely to outgross.
Yeah,
movies.
It's going to be really interesting if Ben Affleck gets his solo movie, how much that movie does. Because it'll probably do $1 billion because it's Batman. People love Batman.
And I think Affleck actually deserves a solo film too.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know what direction they're going to go with it. If it's going to be pre-Superman coming or post. Mm-hmm. But I think he definitely deserves it because his Batman was pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk that'll be the comic, based on the comic Under the Red Hood. You're aware that, spoilers, if you have not read this comic, because it's one of the best comics in Batman history, it's often referred to and loved. There's 2 comic stories I'm about to talk about, but both of them are loved. Are you aware that Robin has died at one point?
I have heard this once before.
It is not the traditional Robin. It is because the traditional Robin is Dick Grayson. There's been 4 different Robins, roughly.
What do you mean Joseph Gordon-Levitt isn't Robin?
Oh, no. That doesn't even count. They made his name Robin. As long as he can go out and fight crime as Robin.
You never know.
So, Jason Todd, who is a Robin in this particular storyline, and the comic is based off of, is called Death in the Family, which Joker kidnaps Robin and proceeds to beat him senseless with a crowbar and then blows up the building that he's in. And the weird thing is, DC actually did a call-in thing for their comic books where back when the comic came out in the 80s or 90s, you called this number and you voted, should Robin live? Should Robin die? And supposedly, everybody voted for him to die.
Surprising.
So, under the Red Hood is this masked vigilante comes back to Gotham wearing a red hood / red mask and is killing people, killing bad guys. And Batman has to find out who it is, finds out who it is, turns out it's Jason Todd.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a rumor that what they're going to do. Who knows if they actually will. They probably will. There's talk that they also might do, like we said, the continuation of it. Give him some kind of superpowered enemy to face, like a Clay face or somebody. That way we can stay in that mode where, okay, Batman can compete with these superpowered bad guys.
Unrelated note, we don't have to put this in, but the suit that Alfred was working on, is that going to be something for the next movie, or is that kind of going towards Justice League?
The suit is actually Batman's suit.
It's the one he actually wears?
I didn't pick up on that the first time either.
Because I saw an image of it somewhere, and I think I got rid of it off my phone. But it didn't look like the suit he was wearing.
And that I don't know of.
All right. Well, I'll get a picture. We don't have to. We can cut that out.
Because are you talking about the first scene when Ben Affleck comes into the Batcave and Alfred's tinkering with it, and he's like,
he checks the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I interpreted that is physically Batman's suit. Like, Batman is wearing armor at all time. That's why he can take gunshots to the head and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I interpreted it. Could be wrong, but... So, just to wrap up this idea of this story, I don't think DC is quite concerned yet. If they don't hit $1 billion, I think they freak out.
I agree.
Okay, on to our next story.
All right. Everybody loves a good comeback story, and we here at IHB just heard about a big one. The Hollywood Reporter has released a story saying Goldie Hawn is planning to return to the silver screen as she stars in a still untitled mother-daughter comedy with one of the fastest rising stars in the industry, Amy Schumer. Hawn has not been seen since 2002's Banger Sisters, making for a near 15-year hiatus. Dom, are you excited to see Goldie Hawn back in the limelight?
I'm not even going to lie. I'm ecstatic because Kurt Russell, who Goldie Hawn is, I don't think they're actually married. I think that they just have one of those, like, they've been together for 25 plus years.
Yeah.
And they're still both boyfriend and girlfriend. But Kurt Russell has made a big comeback over the last couple of years. And that got me thinking around the time Hateful Eight came out, like, where's Goldie Hawn? Like, is she not acting anymore? So to hear her coming back in this, and I always thought she was a great comedic actress. Mm-hmm. So pairing up with Amy Schumer, I think is amazing. How about you?
I agree. It'll be interesting to see what the movie actually is. That'll give a better estimate of how good it's going to be, or if she's going to be good in it. But yeah, it's definitely a positive story to hear.
Yeah. One thing that kind of gives me cause for concern is films being written by Katie Dippold, who wrote the newest Ghostbusters film. But we only saw the trailer. We will not, like, we can't judge her writing off of that trailer because of the way it's cut. Like,
I don't even know if you can judge her writing off of a sequel either.
That's a solid point. And the other thing that is going to be interesting, Jonathan Levine, who last directed Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, which is that Zac Efron, Anna Kendrick, Aubrey Plaza, and Adam Devine film that comes out later this year. Thanks for the help, Jim.
I blanked just as good as you did.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that movie. I like Zac Efron in comedy, but he's coming off of Dirty Grandpa. So I worry that movie's going to suck. And if that movie sucks, it's going to make me less interested in this film. But I think Goldie Hawn just coming back to this movie could make me not even care. Because I guarantee she's going to have like 4 or 5 zingers in there.
Yeah.
That's going to make me just completely forget about anything bad in this movie.
Yep.
What's your favorite Goldie Hawn movie?
I don't know. It's tough off the top of my head. I'd have to look.
James.
What's yours, since you're all about it?
Overboard. Right, what's up?
Overboard?
Yeah. She loses her memory. Kurt Russell's a carpenter who has a dream of building his own miniature golf course. So he kidnaps her, tells her that she's his wife, when she's amnesic, and has him raise her 3 young boys, and almost kind of has sex with her, which probably would have been rape, but it was the 80s, so those movies are okay. It was deemed comedy.
I honestly do not have one.
Really?
Yeah.
Like Unnecessary Roughness? Really?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I honestly haven't seen that many movies with her.
What the hell, James? What's your favorite Kate Upton movie? Not Kate Upton. Kate.
Kate who? Katie Holmes?
Nope. Goldie Hawn's daughter. Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson?
Yeah.
Oh, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
There we go.
Come on, that is a great... And McConaughey kills it. It's a great movie.
It is, but no respect for the classics from you.
Dude, she hasn't been in a movie in 15 years. How old was I when she stopped acting? Was it 2002?
2002, so you were 11,
yeah.
Roughly?
She wasn't on my list then.
She's still fine. She's a little bit bigger now, don't worry. I still hit it.
It happens.
Tell you what, though, she debuted back in like the 60s, and my God, was she gorgeous. Like, she had the classic 60s look where she just was wearing like the fluffy top, belly showing, like short shorts, and her hair was like this long. All right, on to the next topic. Is Channing Tatum's Gambit losing its director? While James and I talked a few weeks back about the Gambit film being delayed yet again to the end of 2016, it is now being reported that Doug Liman is taking the opportunity to direct Amazon Studios' first major motion picture, The Wall. The basic plotline for this film follows a sniper and his spotter, and how they attempt to survive being pinned down by a rival world-renowned sniper. The film is rumored to be a smaller production, and Lyman has said that he plans to wrap the film by the end of the summer, but be back in time to jump right back in with the Gambit film. James, given all the issues we've already known facing the film, do you ever see this movie happening?
Ever is a strong word. I think eventually it will happen. Not... What year is it supposed to come out?
It's supposed to come out in 2017.
Okay, definitely not.
Well, it was supposed to come out in early 2017. Then it was pushed back, and then Fox removed it from their schedule, but it's still in that question marks category.
I don't think it comes out till 2020.
2020?
Yeah, if it does.
I can see it happening.
Then basically losing the director is not a good sign.
Yeah, and you wonder if he's just saying he plans on coming back now, but...
Just to save face?
Not to save face, because honestly, him leaving, nobody's going to look bad on him, because he's like, listen, this movie keeps getting delayed. I want to work. I can't work if the script's not done and stuff like that. So nobody's going to trash him for leaving. They will trash Fox, because it's like, really? You're going to put out another bad movie? Because even though Deadpool was great, they still live with that stink of Wolverine.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Gambit pop up in another X-Men film.
Is that going to be played by Channing Tatum?
In theory. Unless they go for full recast. But if he pops up, like, say he has a significant part in the next Deadpool movie, It lets the studio introduce the character. He gets a big stage to play on. He doesn't have to carry the movie himself. They see how he plays, and from there, you can either choose to scrap the script you have in the project and just have him be a side character who's interesting, like Wolverine. Like, you could definitely do it. You have him build a following. But you also have, because Gambit's popular, but he's not insanely popular.
Yeah. Is he worth being in an R-rated film? Or is it
to a point?
So he's better off going in a Deadpool movie than another X-Men movie.
I wouldn't say that necessarily. He works well in both worlds.
Okay.
I think he's okay. If I had to choose between Cyclops and Gambit to throw into an R-rated Deadpool movie, I'd choose Gambit. But at the same time, he's a clean enough character that he would have no problem fitting into a standard X-Men universe film.
Okay.
So,
good answer.
Yeah, I thought so. Would you be opposed to seeing him? If it's Tatum, would you want to see him get straight out his own film, or would you like to see him maybe do 3 to 4 films where he's a contributing player in those films?
Like a secondary character?
Kind of like Wolverine in X-Men Days of Future Past. He is a important character, but if you look at the actual storyline, he's not the main character. It's still Professor X, Mystique, and Fassbender's Magneto.
If it's Channing Tatum, I think he can have his own film. If it's not, then I think he does need to be in some of these other movies before he gets his own.
That makes sense. And I wouldn't have a problem casting a relatively unknown character for the guy.
Not at all.
Especially if the guy can speak with a decent Cajun accent.
Yeah, I agree. And he's not... I mean, if Channing Tatum can't do a good one, he shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
Which doesn't fit with the character, but it would make more sense than butchering an accent.
Yeah, and I also think most fans will forgive not having the accent as long as, because they'll do certain things. Like, he'll abandon the accent for the most part, but they'll have him say something like in one of those New Orleans French pastries, like the Creole or whatever. Like, they'll have him master that word, and he says it, and it gives you just enough to where it's like, okay, yeah, this guy's from the Bayou of Louisiana, but at the same time, he's not talking out of a mush mouth.
I agree.
Equal opportunity. This movie never happens, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already been bumped back twice now. Rewrites are happening by the guy who wrote Magic Mike, so no faith there.
Yeah.
Not a bad movie, but that movie succeeded off of six-pack abs and dongs.
Yeah, the writing was awful.
Yeah. So I hope it happens. I always want to see every comic book movie come to light. If it didn't, I wouldn't lose sleep. We have enough X-Men. They're going to continue the franchise. There's talk of a new Mutants movie coming out, which is kind of like a Hunger Games level kind of X-Men story. They're more teenagers, and there will probably be love stories. And Maze Williams, Arya Stark, is rumored for a part, so it'll be interesting.
But it has not been confirmed yet.
It has not been confirmed yet, but there are rumors that is going to take one of the X-Men slots that are in Fox's schedule.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, of course, is expected to be Deadpool 2 or X-Force.
Yep. Good stuff.
I thought so. We're going to try something new this week, something a little less rigid, where we're not going to go into great detail about a story unless we have something interesting to say. But we're going to give you 2 more interesting news items that you can either go and do more research on yourself, or you can just listen to our quick comments about. The first one is in a movie we've mentioned in a podcast before, but didn't go into great detail about, a film called Downsizing, which has Matt Damon currently as the lead role. Kristen Wiig will be replacing Reese Witherspoon's character in the film. What do you think about Wiig instead of Witherspoon?
It depends what direction the film's going in. Is it going to be a comedy? because then it might be a better move. And if it's going to be a more serious role, I don't know if I like it, because Reese Witherspoon's, I think, a better actress.
I think it'll end up with who is in it. It's probably going to go more dramedy than comedy. There will be jokes in it, but Kristen Wiig, she proved that she can do drama decently. Like, she was good in The Martian. She was very good in The Skeleton Twins. That was a very dark movie, but still had some jokes in it. I'm intrigued by it. I like Reese Witherspoon more. I'm disappointed she's not going to be in this movie. So
I hope she has a good reason.
Yeah, so do I. Hopefully she's doing some other really good blockbuster movie. As much as I love her doing the indie Oscar bait type movies, minus Hot Pursuit, What You Should Fire Your Agent, because that movie was so bad. I'd love to see Reese Witherspoon back into a little bit more fun blockbuster, Legally Blonde type stuff.
Yeah.
Something not so heavy.
It'll be good to see.
Yeah. All right, and the second news we have, because this is not really news, because in theory it's probably obvious the way Ewan McGregor's career has been going, but he would love to play Obi-Wan Kenobi again in his own anthology film. He said this in an interview with Collider, talking about his upcoming film in, I believe it's Miles Ahead, the Miles Davis film, directed and starring Don Cheadle. He said that he would absolutely love to play Obi-Wan Kenobi again, and he thinks that the 20-year period that he spends on Tatooine watching Luke, there could be some really interesting stories that take place there.
I agree. Out of the first three, or episode 1, 2, and 3,
The prequels, yeah.
he was definitely my favorite character.
Yeah, no,
I thought he did a great job.
He was arguably the saving grace the first 3 films. I enjoyed his performance. I thought he really started to channel Alec Guinness by the 3rd film especially, and it's one of those cool little Easter eggs in The Force Awakens. He lends his voice to that small flashback Force memory ghost scene that Rey receives. So check it out. You can hear him say, "These are the first steps."
Yes.
I'd like to see it. I think
he deserves to be in the next one.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Like, I loved him in Jane Got a Gun. He was menacing. He played a great cowboy villain, so I'd love to see him go against Darth Maul again. Because there are rumors that if they did it, Darth Maul would return and be the big bad guy of an Obi-Wan anthology film. Jimmy's looking at me perplexed because he's like, didn't that guy get cut in half?
Yes.
Well, if Jimmy watched cartoons a little bit more, he would know that Darth Maul comes back in Clone Wars with metal legs, son. Metal legs.
Okay, then I have lost that perplexed look. And I can't watch cartoons. It's too difficult.
The Netflix season 2 and 3 and 4 of Clone Wars, really good, for the record. I don't recommend season 1.
I'll try.
I wouldn't bother. Eventually, they'll tell you everything you need to know in the movies.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that.
Or better yet, read a book.
No. The reason I don't read books is because it'll ruin the movie when it comes out.
Fair enough.
Next up, we have the box office battle.
Oh.
A competition for bragging rights between friends who want nothing more than to prove they know more than the other guy, and who buys the first round of drinks this week, of course. How the game works is each week, my co-host and I will predict the top 5 films at the box office. Whoever gets the closest to the correct order wins the point for the week. The results for this week's box office are, as mentioned previously, Batman vs. Superman takes number 1 spot, earning $52.4 million. In second place, Zootopia continues to rake in the Benjamins, earning an additional $20 million for a domestic total of $276 million. Taking the third spot was the film My People.
I threw that in there for you.
Yep, thank you. Taking the third spot was the film of My People, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2, earning $11.1 million, dropping off less than $8 million from its debut last week. Fourth place goes to the only newcomer from the list, God's Not Dead 2, earning a solid $8.1 million opening, Rounding out the top 5 was Miracles from Heaven, earning an impressive $7.5 million in its third week for $46 million domestically on a $13 million budget. Not bad.
Yeah, no, solid.
Dom, tell the people who won last week and give us your thoughts on the box office for next week.
All right, first of all, James won, but I'm petitioning the board for a no contest as a result of My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 being involved with this. He's got inside knowledge. He's got so many family members, he probably could have sent out a text message and gave this film an extra $1 million or $2 million by himself. So I'm petitioning the board for an appeal. They're going to get back to me in 3 to 6 weeks and let me know if Jimmy's point is vacated.
All right.
With that being said, Jimmy did get all 5 right.
Thank you. And just for the record, My Big Fat Greek Wedding got $11 million, and the fourth place only had $8 million. So even if I did somehow make $2 million worth for My Big Fat Greek Wedding, it still wouldn't have been enough.
But then those 1,200 family members go talk to their 1,200 family members, and then suddenly you get $11 million at the box office on a 4 movie.
I can't confirm or deny that I had anything to do with that.
And for the week itself, actually pretty high considering. Even though you saw that giant drop off, still over $100 million weekend box office total. Considering there were little to no new movies out, everybody still was threatened by the Batman vs Superman, so they didn't put out anything impressive, and probably not going to see anything impressive until next week when we see, actually 2 weeks, because next week there are some big movies coming out, but Jungle Book in 2 weeks is going to be the real question of like
which got moved up.
It did. So how much money can that thing make? Because I'm hearing reports that it could do over $100 million. I don't know about that because I'm sure there's a decent amount of people out there admiring the spectacle of the film, but
my biggest concern is that I don't know how much marketing they did.
Yeah.
Plus, moving it up, I don't know if that's going to help it or hurt it.
Mm-hmm. But that's a couple weeks away. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks. But yeah, so the numbers were fairly impressive, especially for Zootopia. Only dropping off a few $1 million, like 16.7%.
Is that its 5th week?
That is its 5th week.
So it's going to go on a 6th week.
Yeah, still pulling in $20 million a week. Oh, that's amazing, and it deserves it. Third spot, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. That's an impressive number for its second week. I did not think it was going to make over 10. That was only like an $8 million. Yes, like $8 million, $7.5 million drop off right around there. You called it, like 2 faith-based movies making the top 5. Also impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus has a strong pull at the box office this year. You wonder if that's going to make a continuing trend, especially if they keep these budgets low. Like,
yeah, if they're able to keep them low, then they can really do well and make some money.
Miracles in Heaven, $13 million budget, already made 46 domestically. That I didn't look up what it did globally, but it's got to probably do at least another 10 million. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of Christians out there.
There really are. So, what are your thoughts on this week?
Just like I planned it. I got a little lucky, and it always helps with luck.
A little bit. Let's go into our picks for next week. It's a difficult week for me personally, because after seeing Batman vs Superman make such a fall, if it does more than 50%, it's not like, you can't guarantee that Batman vs Superman is going to have the box office this weekend. Last weekend you knew for sure it was going to be Batman vs Superman. This weekend, if say there's a 60% drop off, we're looking at under 25 million, and either one of these 2 debuting movies could hit 25 million.
Yeah, they're both in a lot of theaters.
Yeah, and one of them is an insane gimmick, and the other one has one of the hottest actresses in comedies now,
Melissa McCarthy.
Exactly. That was almost as good as Matt Damon.
Thank you. I worked really hard on that.
Probably as hard as he did. All right, so for my list, flipped a coin a little bit, And then also struggled really hard with where to put Zootopia. But I'm going Batman vs. Superman #1. I think it'll drop off more than 50%. So I'm looking right around the 24 range. In the second spot, I have The Boss, the Melissa McCarthy movie. I think she's a big enough name and she has a strong enough following, especially with women who love her comedy. And it's rated R. I think it can do $20 million. In third place, I have Hardcore Henry. This is the wild card. This movie could honestly do like $35 million opening weekend. I wouldn't be surprised. But it could also do $12 million because, like, I know you and I were on the same idea. Like, it's a cool idea, but neither one of us really want to see this movie.
Yeah. I will also need to take Dramamine if I go see it.
Yeah, like, I'm intrigued by it. I want to see it in a way, but at the same time, I don't know if I can deal with 2 straight hours of first-person shaky cam.
Yeah, it's like playing a video game, which some people might like. I mean, I don't know if it's the first of its kind, but I'm sure with the CGI and everything that it will be pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's the first of its kind when it comes to major motion pictures doing strictly from this angle. I know, like, Doom, the semi-panned video game movie with Carl Urban and The Rock that came out a few years ago, they had a gimmick in their movie where they would do a first-person thing. It was a play on the game because that's how you, like, in the original computer game, all you saw was the gun. And that was cool for a minute or two. Yeah. But after that, it was like, okay, let's get back to the main shit.
I don't know, for an hour, 45 minutes or something.
So I have Hardcore Henry in third. My fourth spot goes to Zootopia. This is mainly just because I still think it's going to do like 16 million, 15 million, but I think these other movies will, like, they have to debut above that. If they don't debut above that, Hardcore Henry maybe not, because I think that was made for peanuts, but The Boss, they'll probably be disappointed if they make anything less than 20 million.
Yeah, because that's probably Melissa McCarthy's quota is 20 million.
Oh, yeah, at this point, pretty close. And in the fifth spot, I have Jimmy's Future, the essential Christmas Carol version of The Greek Life, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2.
My picks do not differ much at all.
As they ever do, because he waits to read my picks and then figures out his own thing.
No, this one I kind of did before you even got here. I had some time. Batman vs. Superman, I don't think it's going to drop more than 50% again.
You think it'll be less than 50?
Yeah, I think it'll be less than 50 this week. So I've got that at 1. And then I put Hardcore Henry at number 2 because they have marketed quite a bit for this.
Yeah, no, the marketing has been strong for them.
And I think that's going to help them. At number 3, I've got The Boss. Number 4, Zootopia, because it only dropped, 4 million?
Yeah.
From week
like 16.7 million. Nuts in its 5th week.
Yeah. So I think that's going to still be there. Honestly, that could be at number 2, though.
Yeah, no, these 2 through 4 are interchangeable almost.
Yep. And then for 5, I've got My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. I mean, unless
we've already been said it. You can't edit it now. No takebacks.
All right, no takebacks, but the fans will know I was right because I just thought about putting God's Not Dead 2 in my number 5 spot, but I'm not going to.
Taking My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 out?
Yeah, just because, okay, you figure My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2, they do a 50% drop off this week.
Yeah.
That'll put them around 6 million. If God's Not Dead 2 can have a strong second week where it only drops off 2 million, it's going to put it right in the battle. But for the sake of competition, I'm going to rely on the strength of The Boss to gain a point this week.
I think Hardcore Henry's got it.
It's possible. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's
it
also
is
easily possible. Like, The Boss is going to make more than $13 million. Hardcore Henry could make $13 million.
Yep.
All right, so that was the box office beatdown, which is about to happen on Jimmy. What's up?
In your dreams.
I changed it up a little bit just for to see who out there who's listening. Mainly Jim, because sometimes I'm not even sure he listens to the podcast. But that was the box office showdown / competition / battle that we do every week. Let us know what your top 5 picks are, and let us know your thoughts on the box office for this week. Send us a tweet to @IHB Podcast. Send us an email to ihbpodcast@gmail.com, or like the page on Facebook and just leave a comment.
Any of those are acceptable.
Exactly.
And appreciated.
All of them are appreciated. Shout out to Rodrigo, my boy.
It's our only email.
Pretty much, but doesn't matter. It was a good email. It was well thought out, well said, and he talked about some major points that we talked about this week. So the man's practically a writer on our show.
His English is improving.
It really is. I liked it. All right, well, that was our show for the evening. You can contact us on any of the social media I just mentioned, but at the same time, we welcome you to reach out and also like and subscribe to this video and the IHB Podcast Network. The more subscriptions we get, the more following we get, the possibility of advertising we can get, and then we can provide even more top-level content for you, the viewers, and make a better show. Plus, it'd be really nice to not pay $7 for a movie every week.
I agree.
Yeah, but
adding up. With
that being said, I am Dominic DeMore. You can follow me on Twitter @DomDeMore or on Facebook @Dominic DeMore.
I'm waiting for the lead in. No, don't worry. Don't waste your breath. I got it. And I am James, and you can follow me on Twitter @the_Kaiser_Soze or on Facebook as Jimmy Langos. All right. And don't forget to check out the website.
James, how was your show this week?
I've had better.
Good night, everybody.